Welcome back. Today we've got a really fascinating and honestly quite chilling personal account.
Yeah, this one comes from a YouTube channel transcript, New English, sharing a listener's story. Well, his mother's story, actually. Calls himself Bob.
Right. And it's about his family's move to a rural village in Thailand, Isaan specifically, and their encounters with something the locals called a pop ghost, apparently living right behind their house.
It's a deep dive into that experience, the local beliefs surrounding this entity, and the terrifying events that unfolded.
It really gives you that first-hand perspective, or at least second-hand, through Bob relaying his mother's memories. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so setting the scene. This is around 2003, Thai year 2546.
Yeah. And the family is mom, dad, Bob, who's only about 3, an older brother, and mom's actually pregnant when they move.
A big life change, moving from the city out to this very rural village.
Yeah.
That culture shift is going to be important.
Definitely. The dad opens a sewing machine repair shop right there at the house. Smart move, gets them connected with the locals quickly.
And their house location is key too, right? Main road in front.
But this dirt road behind that connects through the village,
Yep.
so people can easily pass by the back.
And that back area becomes problematic almost immediately.
Yeah, pretty much straight away. The source says the villagers start warning the mom, like, hey, watch out for the house behind yours, because there's a pop ghost living there. And they even name her Aunt Sa.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just some vague spook story. It's specific. This person, Aunt Sa, she is the pop, according to them.
Exactly. But the mom, she's from the city. She hears this and is kind of like, yeah, right. Skeptical. Doesn't really buy into local superstitions, ghosts. Not her thing. At first, anyway.
Totally understandable. City versus rural beliefs, that's a common dynamic. But her skepticism gets tested, doesn't it?
Oh, does it ever? So the first big unsettling thing happens after the baby sister is born. She's just 12 days old. Tiny.
12 days, wow.
Yeah. Mom's outside, sweeping near the house, holding the baby. Normal day stuff. And then Aunt Sa shows up. But she comes through their front yard, which is weird, not her usual path, apparently.
Okay.
And she just stands there, staring.
At the mom.
No, that's the creepy part. Staring right at the newborn baby. Really intense, like glaring, scary eyes is how the mom described it.
Oof. That focus on the baby. That's classic folklore stuff about vulnerable newborns attracting unwanted attention. Chilling.
Yep, totally. And the mom, despite not believing before, she feels it. She's startled, scared. But the source says she's got this fearless heart. Quick-witted, brave.
So she doesn't just run.
No way, she confronts her. Just asks her straight up, looking like you want to eat my child. Are you going to eat my child?
Whoa, that's direct. Especially if you suspect something supernatural.
Right, ballsy.
Yeah.
But Aunt Sa doesn't say a word, just keeps staring at the baby, barely looks at the mom, then turns and walks away, using her normal route this time, around the back.
Like the confrontation snapped her out of it. Or maybe she'd made her point just by showing up like that. Very unsettling.
Deeply. But the day's not over. Later on, same day, baby's only 12 days old. Things escalate.
Okay.
Mom's cooking in the kitchen. She's left the baby sleeping on a cot just outside the kitchen, keeping her close.
Right. Makes sense.
Then a neighbor walks by, sees the baby, and starts shouting, "Oi, oi, your child's flipped over. Hurry, isn't she going to suffocate?"
Scooped over a 12-day-old. No way.
Exactly what the mom thinks. She drops everything, rushes out, and there's the baby face down.
Yeah.
Completely flipped onto her stomach. Mom's in shock, almost faints.
Oh my God. They can't do that. Their neck muscles aren't developed. Someone or something had to have done that.
Precisely. The only reason the baby survived was pure luck. Her nose was kind of popped up by the cot frame, letting just a tiny bit of air in. Mom realized if that neighbor hadn't come by, or if she'd been a second slower.
That's terrifying. That moves it from creepy staring to, like, attempted harm.
Absolutely. And the mom is furious. She knows it wasn't an accident. The source says she starts talking loudly, directing it outwards like she knows someone's listening, saying stuff like, "Only 12 days old and you flip over. What are you going to be running by a month?" Basically calling out whoever did it. She's convinced someone intended for that baby to suffocate.
Yeah, the suspicion is now certainty. This isn't passive. It's an active attack.
And it all comes to a head that night, sometime between midnight and 2 a.m.
Okay, the witching hours.
Pretty much. Family's asleep. Mom, Dad, Bob, the older brother in the bedroom. Baby sister's in her cot in the same room. Doors are locked, but the bedroom door and the window are open a bit for air. Window's got bars, though.
Some security, at least.
But then, Mom wakes up, not to a noise, but to a voice. Whispering. Right in her ear.
What did it say?
An old woman's voice saying, wake up, it's coming to eat your child, wake up.
Whoa, okay, is that voice a warning? Or part of the entity?
It's what wakes her and what she sees. It's nightmare fuel. She looks towards the foot of the bed by the open bedroom door and sees Aunt Sa
Standing there.
not standing, hanging from the doorframe, legs dangling off the ground.
Hanging? How?
Just hanging there, eyes bulging out, mouth wide open, face straining forward, neck stretched out, veins popping, trying to get into the room, and her eyes are locked on the baby in the cot.
Oh, God. That description. The open mouth, the straining. That sounds like something trying to consume.
Exactly. But here's the weird thing. She can't seem to get fully into the room. She's swinging, hanging, pushing her head forward, but it's like an invisible barrier is stopping her. Mom thinks maybe it was the Buddha amulets they had in the room.
Right, the idea of sacred objects creating a protective space.
Yeah.
That fits the belief system.
Yeah.
Even this terrifying thing is bound by certain rules, maybe.
Maybe. But the mom, again, she doesn't just freeze. That fierce protective thing kicks in. She screams at Aunt Sa, hey, how'd you get in? Get out, get out.
Does Aunt Sarah react?
No. Still fixated on the baby. So mom gets up and she kicks her. Kicks Aunt Sa's hanging body.
She physically attacks it.
Yeah.
Wow, that takes guts.
Incredible courage. She keeps kicking, pushing the body away from the doorframe. Aunt Sa's body apparently slides across the floor, away from the bedroom, towards the kitchen area. Then she loses balance and falls down in the kitchen corner.
A physical struggle.
Yeah.
Even though Aunt Sa was defying gravity moments before. Strange.
So strange. And right then, the baby sister wakes up and starts crying really loudly. Mom instinctively looks at the baby for just a second. When she looks back at the kitchen corner where Aunt Sa fell, gone, vanished, completely
Gone.
Yeah. Mom stands there in shock for a bit. Then the baby's crying, snaps her back. She checks the house, makes sure everything's locked. But here's the kicker.
What?
Through all that noise, Mom screaming, the kicking, the body sliding and falling, the baby wailing Dad, Bob, and the older brother, slept right through it, didn't hear a thing.
That's deeply unsettling. Being the only witness to something so horrific while everyone else is oblivious adds a whole other layer of fear and isolation.
You can only imagine. So the next morning, she tells Dad and the older son. They're shocked, obviously. And the family just lives in this state of constant fear for a while after that.
I bet. How could you not?
It clearly affected the whole village, too, because a few days later, the villagers actually organized 2 busloads of people
They do what?
to go to the police station in town to report Aunt Sa.
Report her for being a ghost.
Yeah, they tell the police she's a pop, that she eats people, causes trouble, and they mention victims being found with missing organs. They see her as a physical threat, a danger that needs official intervention.
That really shows how real and serious this belief is for them. It's not just folklore, it's perceived reality with life or death stakes.
But, the police, what can they do? No evidence, supernatural claims. They can't take action, so the villagers go home disappointed.
Yeah, that clash between traditional belief and the modern legal system happens a lot.
The tension doesn't go away, though. Then, one evening, the dad comes rushing home, totally panicked.
Why? What happened?
He just says he had trouble outside, and they're following me to the house, urges them to pack up and leave right now.
They? Plural now? Any idea who they were?
The source doesn't specify. Could be related to Aunt Sa, could be something else connected to her, or maybe the general negativity. It's unclear, but it scares them enough to bolt.
So they flee. Where do they go?
They pack fast and drive to the maternal great-grandfather's house in town, hoping for safety there, I guess.
Seeking refuge with an elder. That makes sense in this context.
But when they get there, little Bob, remember, he's only 3, starts crying his eyes out, non-stop. And apparently that was really unusual for him.
Kids are often seen as sensitive to these things, aren't they? His distress might mean something came with them.
That seems to be the idea. The great-grandfather asks Bob what's wrong, and Bob, still crying, just points at the front door and keeps saying, black dog, white dog, black dog, white dog.
Black dog, white dog. That's specific and weird. Could be symbolic, maybe guardian figures, or maybe something more sinister in that folklore.
It's unnerving, whatever it means. The great-grandfather seems to get it, though. He realizes something's not right, says something not good is with the boy.
So what does he do?
He takes Bob into his room for a ritual, takes off this traditional waist cord, a nam sao, made of coconut shell pieces on a string, puts it on his knee, sharpens a knife on it while chanting prayers or spells. Mom kind of watches from the doorway.
Okay, a traditional cleansing or protection ritual, using specific items chance, trying to combat whatever followed them.
And apparently it worked. Bob stops crying right after. The great-grandfather tells Mom the crying was because of that bad thing and advises them to stay put for a bit longer.
So the ritual dealt with the immediate issue affecting the child.
Seems like it. They stay for 2 or 3 days. Dad's mysterious trouble seems to have passed, and they feel it's safe to go back home. But as they arrive back in their village, they see there's a funeral going on at the local temple.
Oh, who died?
A neighbor tells Mom it's Aunt Sa.
Aunt Sa died. Right after they performed that ritual at the great-grandfather's. The timing.
Yeah, and the description of her body is striking. The neighbor says her hair was almost all gone. She was incredibly thin, emaciated, like she'd starved to death, but no one knew why. She was just found dead.
That description, extreme thinness, emaciation, sounds disturbingly like how victims of a pop are sometimes described, right?
Yeah.
As if something consumed her from the inside.
Exactly. It's a bizarre, chilling twist. Mom is shocked, but also, hugely relieved. Their immediate terror is over. And the source confirms, after Aunt Sa died, all the weird, scary stuff stopped.
Wow. That direct correlation is a powerful confirmation for them, surely.
No doubt. The family eventually moves back to the city, but before they left, Mom needed to understand why. How did Aunt Sa become this thing?
She wanted the origin story.
Yeah. She asked a neighbor. And the neighbor explained it started with Aunt Sa's mother. Her mother owned a shop and used a cyan, a type of money charm, to attract business. Apparently, these charms often have limits, like, don't ask for too much money at once, maybe less than 500 baht.
Right, prosperity charms are common, but misuse. That often leads to trouble in these stories.
And that's exactly the story here. The neighbor said the mother got greedy, kept asking the charm for huge amounts, like over 1,000 baht repeatedly. The implication is it was dark magic, and asking for too much caused it to backfire, to enter her body. The kind.
So the belief here is that misusing magic, especially for greed, can literally infect the user, turning them into something monstrous. The pop isn't just an external spirit, but can originate from within due to magical blowback.
Seems so. The mother became withdrawn. Villagers saw her creeping around houses at night. Bad luck followed her. They concluded she'd become a pop.
And then? The inheritance aspect?
Yep. The neighbor said when the mother died, Aunt Sa somehow received the infection, or inherited the strain. She became the new pop, which, for the mom, confirmed her worst fears about why Aunt Sa was so focused on eating her baby.
It paints a clear, if terrifying, picture within that belief system. Dark magic misused creates the entity, and it can even be passed down generationally. Explains the specific behaviors, the targeting of the vulnerable.
And it might even explain Aunt Sa's death. The narrator in the source speculates. Maybe the great-grandfather's ritual didn't just cleanse Bob or drive away the dogs. Maybe it actively attacked the source of the negativity following them.
Turned the pop's own energy back against its host, Aunt Sa.
Possibly. Leading to her death with those specific emaciated symptoms, it suggests the traditional defenses aren't just shields, they can be weapons within this framework.
That's a really interesting layer to it, the power dynamics of belief and counter magic.
Looking back, the mother's role is just incredible. From skeptic to fierce protector, facing down this horror verbally and physically.
Her quick thinking saved the baby multiple times. That bravery is central to their survival in this story. It wasn't passive endurance, it was active resistance.
And the villagers going to the police. It might seem futile from our perspective, maybe, but it shows how utterly real and present the danger felt to them. It wasn't just a scary story. It was a community crisis requiring official action in their eyes.
Definitely underscores how these beliefs aren't abstract folklore for those living within that context. They're explanations for terrifying realities and guides for how to respond, even if those responses clash with outside systems.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how fear, beliefs, and the unexplained interact. Where does interpretation end and, well, something else begin?
Yeah, and how these very specific cultural narratives, like the pop ghost, give shape and meaning to experiences that might otherwise be just chaotic terror. It's a powerful interplay between story and lived reality.
A story that definitely sticks with you.
For sure.
Well, thank you for digging into this really intense account with me.
Always fascinating to explore these personal narratives and beliefs surrounding them.
And thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.